Put the kettle on because Grandma has an opinion. How often have you heard people say, one of the great things about getting older is that I don't give a damn what people think anymore? I know I've heard it, I've even said it, but is it really that simple? Do you just suddenly wake up one day and say, okay, I've reached X number of years and I don't care anymore what people think about me? I don't think it's quite that simple. I think what happens is we get tired. Not physically tired, although when you get older, that's obviously part of it too. But I mean mentally tired. We get tired of trying to be a person that people like. We get tired of being a version of ourselves that makes everybody else comfortable. We get tired of performing. Now, I'll be completely honest with you. For several weeks, I thought about whether or not I even wanted to be on camera. I worried about my gray hair, my dentures, my weight. I went through a whole bunch of questions. Is this shirt flattering? Should I wear a different shirt? Should I wait until I lose another 50 pounds before I get myself on camera? Should I stick to soft, safe topics rather than voicing my opinion? Should I tone it down? And I realized that this is the exact performance that I wanted to talk about. If I continue to hide behind a voiceover because I'm afraid of someone's opinion about me, then I'm giving them authority over me. With this video, I am taking back that authority. If you're new here, hi, I'm Lori. I'm Grandma's Pocketbook, and I'm filming from my son's backyard. I believe the neighbor has finally finished mowing his lawn with his riding lawnmower. I wonder if they have a payment on that because we know that that is the financial downfall of middle America. Um, sorry, that's an inside joke. If you know, you know. So what got me here? Well, I saw a video by Carolyn's RV Life, and she is a creator who I came across years ago. She just about when she started her, oh, that wind is something else, isn't it? Um, when she started her channel, and she was a nomad, she was living on the road in her RV, and I was just getting ready to consider that lifestyle, and I came across her channel and really enjoyed her. And it's been 10 years now that she's been on the road, and so she recently did a video about what those 10 years have meant. And one of the things that's happened to her is that she found that she stopped performing. She stopped worrying about what people were going to think. And then if she said A, B, or C, were they going to unsubscribe and not like her? And then at the same time, I picked up this book. It's called Yesteryear. And it is about a woman who is a social media influencer, and she is living the trad wife life. She and her husband and her 6 beautiful children live on this farm, and they're off grid, and she's doing all the things. The only problem is that that's what appears on camera, and what's happening behind the scenes is that she has staff that is helping her with all the work. She has nannies, and they do actually have power. And then one day she wakes up, and although she's still in that house and she still has her family, she is back in the 1800s, and she's actually having to live that life. And so one of the premises of the book is that women are rewarded for embodying certain ideals of womanhood that may not align with their true authentic selves. So we have Carolyn's video on the one hand talking about not performing, and then we have this book about a woman who is doing nothing but performing, but only for the camera. For a long time, I thought that bettering myself meant that I needed to do a lot of re-examination, a lot of changing, growing, and I'm not opposed to growth. I think growth is a good thing. But there's a difference between becoming a better version of yourself and becoming a version that people will approve of. Someone recently told me that I needed to be a better me because of something I said that they didn't agree with. And that stuck with me, not because it's good advice, but because what they meant was not that I should become a better me, but that I should become a me that makes them comfortable. And what I said didn't make them comfortable. They were saying, I liked you better when your voice and your tone and your personality were something that I was comfortable with. But that become a better me is not growing. That's performing. That's making you happier, not making me happier. Performing is changing who you are to avoid criticism. It's editing yourself so that you don't have people coming at you and saying that they don't like what you had to say. It's trying to become acceptable so that people don't challenge you. At some point, and I think especially as we get older, we have to ask ourselves, am I changing because it's actually something that aligns with who I am and who I want to be? Or am I changing because I want to make sure that I am not challenged and I don't have to answer to people who don't like who it is that I've become? And women, especially, we have earned like a master's degree in performing. The book that I showed you, there is this line in it that talks about the grand performance of women. And I kind of want to share that with you. It says, it's the idea that being a woman isn't just about being who you are, but about constantly performing who everyone expects you to be through your appearance, through your behavior, through your caregiving, through your ambition, or not too much ambition, through being pleasant, through making everyone else comfortable. See, I grew up in the 50s and 60s, and at that time, little girls were taught to be sweet. Be a sweet girl, Lori. Be kind, Lori. Don't be too loud. Don't attract attention. Don't be too smart. Don't make waves. Basically, don't do anything that makes people talk about you. Then when I was becoming an adult, second wave feminism came through and it was saying, actually, all those things that you were told when you were little, forget about those. Make waves, be ambitious, be smart. Talk about a mental whiplash. Recently, during one online exchange, somebody called me a pink hat. Now, I know they meant it as an insult, that the pink hat, or pussy hat, if you will, is associated with feminism, and I guess they think that feminism is a bad thing. But to me, all feminism is supporting gender equality. And that to me isn't a weakness. It's not a bad thing. It's having empathy, and empathy isn't weakness. And so to the person who said that, thank you. I'm going to take it as a compliment. But why do I bring that up? Well, it's because the minute you stop performing and people get uncomfortable with the actual person that you are that you're presenting, they start using labels. It makes them feel more comfortable, I guess. They needed to put me in some category, and I guess because I was an opinionated woman, that made me a pink hat. And labeling somebody, I guess, is easier than accepting that they can actually think for themselves and have opinions. But here's the thing. When people start using labels to make themselves more comfortable with you, oftentimes that's when you start returning to the idea of performing because you're not comfortable with the labels. You're not comfortable with the fact that somebody is uncomfortable with you. You start to edit yourself. You laugh a little quieter. You back out of conversations that become uncomfortable. You start to apologize before you even state an opinion. And you become comfortable with this performance, so comfortable, in fact, that you even forget what your own voice sounds like. And then one day you make a choice. I made a choice. I'm not doing this anymore. And to be honest with you, it's a little terrifying. It's not terrifying because authenticity is bad. It's terrifying because you've become so practiced in doing this performing that doing something else really does get scary. You start worrying about losing relationships. You start worrying about people thinking that you're selfish. You start wondering who you really are without the performance. And will you like this person? Being your authentic self is supposed to bring you peace. But When you run back to the performance, you do so because the chaos that being authentic creates is more comfortable than the piece that you don't know. And that can become especially dangerous when you're in retirement or you've become an empty nester, because those performances that you had, whether it was your career or taking care of family, those are things that you knew. I mean, think about it, even in your job, they called it a performance review. So, what happens when you no longer have those roles that you are performing? Are you going to replace them with brand new performances? Are you going to be, for example, the retiree who is extremely busy, because apparently that's what you're supposed to do when you reach retirement? You're supposed to do all those things that you never had time for. And unless you're a very busy retiree, then you must not be doing it right. So if you're very busy, you might be performing. You might be the grandparent who never wants to say no. That's performing. Well, I'm trying to quit the performance. Not because I want to be rude or confrontational, but because I just want to be honest. And here's what I'm hoping, and I'm sure it's true. The world does not burst into flames because grandma has an opinion that differs from a few other people. No one bursts into flames, but they have comments, don't they? Here are a few of the things that were said about me. She's bitter. About, you got to give me more. What am I bitter about? She uses a walker. That was a really funny one, because I did a video of the apartment that I had moved into. It was empty, and in the video, off to the side, you could see my walker. And yes, I did use one at the time. And there's even one creator who created an AI version of me with a walker because this was such a big deal. Imagine thinking that someone using a mobility device is a character flaw. Here's another one. She has age spots. I do. They come from living this long. I hope that you live long enough to get your own. These are mine. She lives in Section 8 housing. I do. I'm not embarrassed by it. What's embarrassing is somebody trying to shame another person for having safe, affordable housing. She shouldn't talk about somebody else's divorce when her own marriage failed. You know, leaving a husband who decided to cheat on his pregnant wife is not a failure. It's a test of self respect. And speaking of exes, years ago, shortly after my divorce was final, my ex and I, we stayed somewhat friendly. And he came to me and he said, you know what I really wanted was I wanted a woman who was submissive, who would defer to me, allow me to make the decisions, it's be supportive of me. And at the time, I kind of laughed and I said, boy, did you pick the wrong girl. But then later, when I did start another relationship, I found myself changing who I was. I became softer. I became less opinionated. I agreed to things that I wouldn't ordinarily do because I wanted to be in this relationship. And that's when I realized something. My ex did not pick the wrong girl. He picked the woman that I was trained to be during all those young years of being soft and compliant. I was performing. And when someone falls in love with your performance, whether it's in a relationship or social media persona, they don't know who you are. They're not liking you, they're liking the performance. Let me ask you something. 5 years from now, who do you want to be? Do you want to be the 60 something widow who doesn't go to the pool to work out and get healthier because she's afraid of what people would think when she's wearing the swimsuit? Or are you going to be the 60 something widow who is getting healthier? Are you going to be the retired truck driver who hid the fact that he was always interested in painting because he was afraid of what people would think? Or will you be the retired truck driver who's creating beautiful watercolors? Do you want to be the 71-year-old YouTube creator who pretends to be somebody else Or do you want to be the 71-year-old YouTube creator who's coming to you authentically and trying to help people negotiate through retirement? Or do you want to be the person leaving 1,000 nasty comments about the widow in her swimsuit at the pool, or the artist truck driver, or the 71-year-old YouTube creator? Look, I'm not trying to become everybody's cup of tea. That's impossible. And frankly, at my age, I'd rather be considered a fine bourbon. But while I have you here, I want to talk to you about this community as it is now, or as it's going to grow to be, or as I hope it's going to grow to be. I stand for equality, whether that's a person of color, a woman, LGBTQ, trans people, anybody who's been marginalized or been made to feel like they are less than. It does not matter to me what your gender is, what the color of your skin is, how you pray, who you pray to, if you don't pray at all, whether or not you love somebody who is the same gender as you. None of that matters to me. But if you're somebody who thinks that a person doesn't belong in this country because of the color of their skin, you're probably not going to be happy here. Look, we don't have to agree on everything. I think that good, mature discussion is a great thing, and I welcome it. But if treating people with basic respect, all people, is not something you can get behind, then you are definitely not going to be happy here. There are millions of videos on YouTube. You're welcome to watch any of those. As for me, I said it, I'm done performing. I'm done auditioning for people's approval of me. If you're also done performing, you're tired of it, maybe it's time to rewrite your script. Thanks for hanging with me. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.